Okay, fabulous. So I'm going to turn off my video. You know what I look like now? Because I want to use the other headset to so that it comes out clearer on the recording. Okay, so stop video. Okay.
Kai, can you please confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, and your screen's looking good as well.
Awesome. Let's get ready. So, when it comes to trading performance, there's always two parts to it. There's our performance that is where we have to do our work on our trading mindset, and then there's also the practical aspects of performance reviews and trading performance. And I love it because Tony Robbins said the quality of your questions determine the quality of your solutions, and the quality of your solutions determine the quality of your life. So, you know, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but I remember when I went to this training, which was between 2002 and 2004, I pretty much did most of his training. And that was really something that stood out for me, that partly the reason why my life was maybe not going the way I wanted it to go was because I didn't know how to ask really good quality questions that get me better results so that I can have a better life. Now, today I want to share with you the power of keeping and working with your statistics, and how learning to use those statistics will really improve your trading, and how it can really unlock a level of potential that you didn't even know you had. How do I know? Because that was my journey. And the book that I want to recommend is High Performance Trading from Steve Ward, who is also featured in Linda's book. To me, that's one of the best books on keeping statistics. And it's got everything that we need in this book in terms of keeping statistics. Now, as I guide you through these statistics and help you discover your areas of improvement, maybe, you know, you will look back in 6 months' time and realize how much you have grown because you started keeping your statistics and started measuring from today onwards. And then you will know how much more you can grow in another 6 months, because, you know, the learning curve is exponential. It's not linear. And this is what makes it so, so exciting. And I always hated statistics. I never kept my metrics. And now I've become like a performance statistics monster. I keep it everywhere in my life because I love it so much. And it's also one of my favorite things to go through with my traders. So if I were to ask you how your trading is going, what would your answer be? Oh, hang on. I lost the slide. So if I were to ask you how your trading is going, what would your answer be? And I know when I ask my traders, or when I ask any trader, commonly they say, great, when they have had a profitable day. And they say, I had a really bad day, when they had a losing day, or even when they had a string of losses. But again, if you couldn't see your P&L, what would your answer be then? If you didn't ever get to see your profit and your loss ratio, and how much profits and how much losses you have made, how would you know how well you are trading? And I tell you, most of you would not know how well you are trading. And the thing is, not all losses are bad, not all winners are good. So we really need to distinguish and learn how to use these data in order to help us propel forward to the kind of trader we want to be. And, you know, whichever answer it is for you, is it a good day, is it a bad day, you always need to ask yourself, how do I know this is true? What evidence and what data do I have for my answer? And the guys of you who already know me, you know, I asked it a lot. What's your evidence? How do you know? And most of the time, I find that traders just make up stories, right? They just come up with, oh, I'm doing really well, or I'm doing really bad, or this is my main problem. Like, how do you know? Or I just know. How do you know you always get out of your trades too early? Or I just know because I see the trade continuing. How much is it continuing by? When is it turning after you got out of your trade? And they don't have those numbers. And that's why anything that is not measured has no evidence, has no importance, right? I don't care what you feel like. I want to see hardcore numbers. So it was Lord Kelvin who said, when you can measure what you're speaking about and express it in numbers, you know something about it. And if you cannot measure it, then it's unsatisfactory. I think that was the language of 1880. We would say that very differently today. But you get the gist of it. Everything in your life, measure it. Don't just make assumptions. Okay, that's what I also want to impart on you guys is not only how to improve your trading, but how to improve your life. And trading is such a metaphor for life. It's a mirror for how we live life. And I know if a trader has a challenge in one area of their trading, I guarantee you they have it in other areas of their life as well. And that's the amazing and the inspiring part of our work. It's when we have resolved it in one area, we know it is going to be resolved in the other area as well. In your health, in your relationships, in your business, right, or in your career. And this is what makes this work in trading so useful. And I've spoken to a few traders where they say, you know what, trading just brought out the worst in me. And I didn't know I'm this kind of person. And I said, yeah, but didn't it bring out the best in you as well? Because would you have started that journey of self-discovery, the journey of growth, the journey of personal development? And also for many, it becomes a journey of contribution. Would you have started the journey if it hadn't been for trading? And the answer is, I know, most of the time. The answer is no. And it's the same for me. Like, I was so unaware, you know, I didn't even know there's such thing as wealth creation or personal development. That's how unaware I was. And so trading opened up a whole new world, not just for me, but I'm sure for all of you guys. So when we look at, or when we speak with traders, most of them just talk about their P&L. And even though P&L is an important baseline number, it's an important benchmark, in the end, it's only the result of how you actually performed. So it's a lag measure. It's measuring the behavior that you did beforehand. And so it's feedback. And what statistics help us to achieve is it gives us lead measures. So what are my standards, my expectations of myself, my behavioral commitments that I need to live up to so that I can improve my P&L? And, you know, anything else, like it's a good trade, it's a bad trade, it's not of much value because, again, what is good, what is bad, doesn't really matter. Now, if you look at sports, for example, it's the same thing. We watch a tennis match or we watch, you know, football match. And the goals, again, it's just like our P&L. It's telling us how the team performed, what the outcome was, but it doesn't tell us about the process, about the strengths and weaknesses of each individual player, and how they can improve for the next game. And so this is pretty much what we do as well. Now, this is one of my favorite illustrations, and maybe you have seen it before. It did its round on social media, and many stole it. But the one who actually came up with it is this guy, Safalnivishek. It's an Indian word for, I can't remember. It's a fabulous website. And so it's a fabulous website and he contributes a lot to the poor people in India and teaching children how to think about money and really financial management and financial literacy. Amazing guy. And so what he says is, you can control risk, cost, time, emotion, and you can't control your return. So it beats me why most rarely focus on the things that we can control, but they only focus on the thing that they can't control. And so as Steve Ward would say, control the controllables, or that's also that we say in sports performance, right? Control the controllables. How many of you have actually really sat down and said, what are the controllables in my life? Because if you have children, if you're married, or if you're not married, if you have a physical ailment, if you have dependents, your controllables are very different than the controllables of someone like me who doesn't have any dependents, right? So again, the book, Steve Ward's book, is High Performance Trading. And Kyle, would you mind to just type that into the chat? That would be really awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And so with everything in life, when things don't go your way, so again, we are in lockdown at the moment, 8 o'clock curfew. When did I have a curfew? 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And so that's something that I can't control. But what I can control is, what do I do with my time? And so in every phase of our lives, if we have someone who is sick, or whatever it is, if we get sick, look at what are the areas that I can control and focus on that. And I tell you, your life is going to change. Now, I was talking with a trader yesterday, and he has anxiety, and the anxiety, and he has it in many areas of his life. Really interesting upbringing. So Irish dude, coming from a very poor family, and abusive as well, lots of alcohol abuse. And he's rising out of this old dynamics and creating a new future for his family and really his whole tribe, right? But the thing is, he has this immense anxiety, and what he came to me to was, he said, I want to stop feeling this anxiety, because this anxiety is making me taking impulsive trades. So I have a loss. And then this anxiety, I get this massive anxiety around this loss. And then I jump into a trade and try to make the money back. And then I dig myself deeper into a hole. And then the $200 loss turns into a $2,000 loss. So what can I do to get rid of this anxiety? And I said, there's nothing you can do right now to get rid of this anxiety. And he has been asking, so what have you done so far to work with the anxiety? And I said, I've done so many courses, I've seen counselors, psychologists. The anxiety is just not going to go away. And I said, that is feedback for you. Anxiety is not going to go away. What we can do is we can work on, to begin with, you learning to be with that anxiety. Let the anxiety be there. And like a radio that's playing in the background. And then when you let the anxiety be there and start focusing on what you can control, and you shift your focus onto other things, on how you create your new life, and just leave the anxiety there, then the anxiety will dissipate. I promise you. So it's not that you work on the anxiety, it's that you focus your attention and you learn to be with that anxiety, not needing to evade it and run away from it and avoid it. That's where your pathway to letting go of anxiety lays. And so when I do work, like asking people, so what does it mean to you? What is that feeling all about? It's not because I want to know what that feeling is about. It's you start in a very safe environment, accepting that feeling and letting it be there. And often for traders, what I found is when they have a connection between, oh, that's why I feel this way. That's all they need to know, nothing else. And then they can let it be there and focus on what they can control. So that would also be an example of control, the controllables. Now, knowing that, one of my favorite quotes is feedback is the breakfast of champions. And I always ask for breakfast. Yeah, I always ask for breakfast, right? I always ask for feedback. And in my own journey, at the beginning, I found it incredibly hard to take feedback. It was physically painful for me. And some of you might relate to it. And I was hiding from feedback. And when someone was generous enough to give me feedback, I would maybe become a little judgmental. You know, what is it they know about me? They don't know how hard I've got it. And so I would feel judged, but feeling judged had nothing to do with them. It was my own stuff. I judged myself so much, and I projected my self-judgment onto other people. Why? Because that pain that I experienced around feeling, getting the feedback and feeling judged and feeling not good enough and feeling unlovable and feeling inadequate and all that stuff that stirred it up deep inside of me, that was so painful, and I didn't know what to do with it, right? I didn't know how to deal with it. So I shifted my focus on becoming controlling, because that was the lesser pain. Now, that has changed for me. And how did I do that? I started asking people who were safe for me to ask for feedback. And I just one piece. And then I would sit there with whatever came up in terms of emotions. It sounds so ridiculous in hindsight, but this is really what was going on for me. And if we are not able and open for feedback, we will never, ever, ever be able to succeed and to grow, because we can't see ourselves from the back of our eyeballs. We need external eyes to look at us and say, this is what I see. What do you make of it? What are your thoughts around this? And that's why I also work with coaches. I always say that. Now, the pain, how I started working with it, was to just have a little piece of feedback and then sit with whatever came up for me and just let it be there. And then I let it be there, and then I started shifting my focus on the evidence. Okay, so this person says I do A. What can I do differently, right? And then I go into solution. So I hope this is useful, because if we ask why traders don't look at their statistics, very often I get the feedback of, or I get the answer of, it's just too painful. I just can't bear looking at my statistics. And that was me as well. Like I could look at my statistics when I had a good day or a good month, but I found it incredibly painful to look at my statistics when I had a bad day. I'm making here quotation marks with my fingers, which you can't see. But that was the reality for me. And it's like when you are doing a lot of sports, you feel good about yourself, you're in good shape, then you can't stop looking in the mirror. And when you have been eating a lot of chocolates and not been exercising much, you don't want to look in the mirror, right? It's exactly the same thing. So we have to learn to really do what needs to be done and look at our statistics. Yeah. So, and this is, if that's too painful for you, start with a little piece and just sit with it. And I promise you, I guarantee you, it will dissipate that pain. I call them the vampires, because there is usually a lot of shame around not having performed well. Shame or guilt, whatever it is, right? There's 8 major emotions. If you're interested in this, look at Joanne Rosenberg. She's amazing when it comes to emotions. She's done a lot of research, and I studied her intensely as well. So when we, now I just lost my train of thought. Shame, too painful. So when that shame comes up, or whatever that is that's coming up for you, shame loves shadows, we said. So we try to hide it and avoid it. The moment you let it be there and you breathe into it, it comes into the daylight, and then it just dissipates. It goes like a vampire. It becomes dust and is being blown away by the wind. Yeah, so that's why I call them the vampires. A lot of traders, they maybe don't have any pain around it. They don't have any problems keeping their stats, but they say, yeah, I kept my stats, but then I didn't know what to do with it, or it's too hard to record it because I make 50 trades a day, right? So no excuses. Most softwares have really, really good performance stats. I know TradeStation has, and maybe you can ask Damon later if he knows, or if Think or Swim for TOS has stats. I know my MT4s, they have stats. You can connect your trading account with a trader view, or there's so many software packages that you can use to record your stats. So there's really no excuse anymore. Many make it too difficult and too onerous to continue keeping that up. Yeah, so that's also something to consider. Why do you make it so complex and set yourself up for failure? I'm going to show you where to start and to make it really simple for you. And then they use that, they don't use the data to improve. They have the data, but they don't go through it. Again, maybe they don't know how to, and I'm going to teach you today how to do that. So make it simple, keep it valuable and consistent. What I also found is that there is a lot of traders who may be naturally more numerical, and others are naturally more kinesthetic and visual. So their ability to have a mathematical brain is not what they worked on. So I think mathematics is part of genes, right? So genetically you're good at maths or not. But again, that's no excuse, because you can train yourself to be good at maths or good enough at maths, yeah, for your trading. So put your trading manager hat on and just look at the following stats. And this is from Steve's books, High Performance Trading. So profit and loss, your performance metrics, and the quality of your processes. So a lot of traders who become feeling overwhelmed with statistics and overwhelmed with life in general, what I found is going on for them is that they don't know how to think in a structured way. And when they start thinking more structurally, that means that the overwhelm is being cut down in little pieces that they can focus on, and the overwhelm will disappear. So if you can compartmentalize everything, anything that you do in life, then the overwhelm will go away. So if you experience overwhelm, that is feedback for you, that you don't think structurally enough, that you don't have enough routines and habits in your life. And these are usually connected with each other. So as I said, there's 3 levels of performance. We can look at your profit and loss, so how much money you have made or lost during that period, and it's merely an outcome measure. Outcome measures alone, of course, are not good enough, enough to assess and evaluate your trading performance. It's actually the opposite. What I found is every trader who's too P&L focused, they have problems in trading around their performance. So they have performance anxiety. They feel stress, they feel pressures, and they just never get out of this vicious circle. When we have someone who is too focused on P&L, the first step is to help them to focus on performance and process data. That is helping them to get out of this feeling of helplessness and hopelessness that they experience around their P&L, having had a good day or a bad day, depending on if they have made money or lost money. Because performance and process data pinpoints exactly what is going on for them and how to improve. And then they realize there is something that I can do. I can take this bite-sized piece of information and start implementing that into my trading and improve my trading. Yeah. So this is really how you can transform your trading, and where we can now say this is how we control the controllables. So performance metrics is the equivalent of our sports stats. Most people know about sports, and they know how to use sports. They know how coaches use sports stats to improve their players. And we have to do the same with ourselves. So if you put on your trading manager hat or your sports coach hat, do what they do. Look at what is your rate of progress, what is your the improvement that you have to do, what are your strengths that you can build on, what are your weaknesses that you need to compensate on. Yeah, but how many traders do that work? Not many. Yeah, and so now we look at our process metrics, which is more about how you performed, the subjective feedback from yourself on your processes. Did you follow your plan? Were you disciplined? Did you follow your trade entry, your exits? Did you micromanage? So any observations you've got around the trades that you've made in a certain period of time. That is the process metrics. Now, if you have a combination of outcome, performance, and process measures, now you have the best possible picture of how you're actually doing and how you can improve your trading. And that's then when trading becomes manageable, when you can create a performance improvement plan, and all the fears that traders have are actually going away. It's just beautiful. Again, it's because you know what to do in that moment. So let's start looking at performance metrics. We can look at the amount of pips or ticks, depending on what you trade, that you've made. The number of winners and the number of losers in absolute and percentage as well. Because it's a different measurement. Biggest winner, biggest loser, which is something that I always look at, because if the biggest losers are always bigger than the biggest winners, then I know we need to work on your risk management. Right? That's feedback, nothing else. Payoff ratio, so average winner over average loser, your expectancy. How many winning trades do you have in a row before you start making mistakes? I know my sweet spot number is 7, funny enough. If I have 7 profitable trades in a row, then I start getting sloppy. I get superwoman syndrome, whatever it is that I get, but I know that's when I start making mistakes. That is a really important number for me to know, because now I can work on 2 levels. I can say, well, on one hand, I know that I am now at risk to make a mistake, so I need to scale back now. And number 2, I can work on how can I turn my 7 winning trades in a row to 8 winning trades in a row. So the continuous improvement. And the same with the average losers and biggest losers, just the opposite, right? So how can I go from an losing run of 10 trades to a losing run of 9 trades, and to 8 trades, or to 7 trades? But what I hear most traders say, they say, I don't want to have any losing runs, rather than looking at the performance improvement of reducing by 1 measure point or improving by 1 measurement point, right? So constant improvement and not changing or not wanting to have this thing. And why is it that traders say, can you please help me not to have any losing runs as well? Again, because having a losing run feels uncomfortable, painful, not fun. And they don't want to have those feelings. That's always what it comes down to. And so you start fighting those feelings rather than focusing on your job. And if you can let those feelings be there, like a radio in the background, and you still focus on your job, then it's really beautiful, because then you start getting some boards on the run on the board, and you will become more confident and more certain, and that will in turn improve your trading performance, right? And then we have the MAE and MFE. So let me just go through these data a little bit. So expectancy. Expectancy, you can Google that. I don't want to leave to take too much time or spend too much time on this one. It's in the end, what you want to know is, on average, how much money have I made or lose on a trade? And if your expectancy is a positive number, then you know that your system is actually working. And then even if you have a losing streak, you don't need to worry about it. So I have a trading, so I use my FX book, which most of you can't use. So I keep an eye on my expectancy when I have a losing streak. And if should my expectancy go below 0, then I know there is something wrong with my strategy and I need to look at my strategy. If my expectancy stays positive, then I know I'm still okay with my losing run. Yeah. So Seth is asking, isn't it better to calculate expectancy in terms of ticks instead of dollars? I would do both. And it's a really good point. So you can normalize it as you grow size. I love that. I haven't thought of it, so thank you for expanding my boundary conditions of thinking. But I would do both, not just the tick size. Yeah. I'm a big fan of, and I know many say don't focus on the money, but I always think if we have to avoid looking at the money, we have stuff around money. And I rather resolve my stuff around money than trying to avoid it. But that's just me. It's you know, everybody as they choose to. Now, on the flip side, of course, it is useful not to look at your dollars whilst you're in a trade, because it's natural that your mind and your thinking processes are getting affected by it. Yeah, so it's this, after you have done your trading and you do your performance statistics, I would look at dollars and ticks. But during the trade, maybe only look at the performance numbers in terms of ticks. So see how you go. I don't have any stuff around money anymore, so I can look at both. For me, money is just a renewable resource. I didn't always think like that, I have to admit. But that's what money is for me, and I'm not afraid of it anymore. I think it was Paul Tudor Jones who knows if he really said it, but he was being attributed to having said that money floats around everywhere in the ether. All I have to do is open the tap and money will flow into my trading account. I love that. And again, if he thought like that or not, I don't care, but I borrowed this. Renewable energy, it's everywhere, like it's the air. So average loss and every win, as I said, so look at major deviations between those two values. Generally speaking, the average loss should be smaller than the average win. But we also know that there are outliers. So I always look at if there are outliers, if someone's average loss is bigger than the average win. Then MAE, MFE, these are my favorite measurement tools that I look at when I start working with a trader, and they are happy to show me their stats. Now, maximum adverse excursion, how much did price move into your favor before you exited the trade? So did you have $1,000 profit and you got out at $500 profit? That is MAE. MFE is how much did your price move against your position before you got out? So that would be you were in a $1,000 loss, but you got out at a $500 loss, or you had a $1,000 loss, but you got out at a $500 profit. And this is why it's really important to keep your stats, and stats that I share with you afterwards, where it doesn't matter how much profits you have made. If you have let your profit run into a $5,000 loss before you made a $500 profit, that's not acceptable. No trading manager would allow you to continue trading if you were in their trading team. Yeah. I don't think Linda would employ you as a trader. Because Linda is really strong in taking her, cutting her losses. I think that's one of her major strengths. Like, you know, she sees something's not working, she goes in and just cuts it. Now, after we have done the technical work on, on our trading performance, let's have a look at the context of our trading performance. So that's evaluating the process. What kind of market did we have today, right? Ask yourself that. Was it choppy? Was it ranging? Was it creeping? Is it a strong trend? Or was there no direction? And if you keep stats on the markets, you will find out which markets you're doing best in. I know when I have a creeping market, so they are the ones who just keep ticking up. So up, down, up, down, up, down. But you look at the chart later on at the big picture, and it was like a strong up trend. These are markets that I perform really, really badly in. I like fast-moving markets. I do really well in fast-moving markets and really well in ranging markets. But creeping markets, not good for me. And so when I know that, we also learn to identify what kind of market we are working with to begin with. And then we can say, oh, that's a creeping market. I can already see the signs. So I'm going to scale really, I'm going to scale really down and be careful with my trading today. Or, oh, today is a really strong moving market or a nice ranging market. I can go in big because I know that's when I perform really well. So the market data measures really how well you trade against a particular market condition. And we want to have numbers in it and data. Most traders will say, oh, I do really well in this market. How do you know? Oh, I just know because I feel it. No, it doesn't count. Sorry. Go back into your stats. And the idea behind this is really to balance for traders who have mostly a very strong P&L focus and give them actionable pointers, actionable things to do so they can take charge of their lives. They can move into the from the feeling at the effect to feeling like they can do something part of the equation, you know, cause and effect. They are at the cause of their life, at the cause of their trading results, and the helplessness will dissipate. And then their trading will improve. And so a lot of traders, they come to me, they say, I feel so helpless because I do this behavior. And I tell you guys, when you have this experience, those stats, even though it's maybe boring or whatever it is for you, they will help you to improve that and to get out of this quicksand. So when we have all these data, right, was our discipline today, was our focus today, and a little piece about focus. I was studying, it was a TED talk on how to be more focused. It was really interesting because the guy asked a really good question. What if needing to train our mind to be more focused isn't a problem? What if our mind is seeking the attraction of being distracted? I'm like, wow, I love this reframe. I love this different viewpoint. Because what we mostly do and what I have done mostly is like, I looked at how can I be more focused? How can I be more focused? I need to be more focused. I didn't look at the distraction that I allow my mind to indulge in and what that gives me. So if you look at Tony Robbins' 6 core needs, what does distraction give me? Does it give me certainty? Does it give me a variety? Does it give me significance? Does it help me to connect with myself or others, right? So when I'm trading all alone and then suddenly the moment is like, oh, I should check Twitter. Why do I suddenly have this urge to check Twitter? Oh, maybe I need some connection, right? I want to connect with people because I'm just feeling alone for a moment. And so now it doesn't become about, I want to check Twitter. It becomes about, I need some human interaction. I need some connection right now. Is there maybe a more useful way, a more constructive way to fill that need, to meet that need of connection? And the same with all the other behaviors that we have. Why do we do that? Let's use Tony Robbins' 6 core needs. Is it because I need more certainty? Do I feel like eating a chocolate right now because I need more certainty? I did something really funny because, you know, being alone, being at home a lot now due to lockdown, I naturally eat more. And I just had, because I was grinding my teeth, in the last few months, I saw my dentist and he made this really nice splint for me. It was so expensive, like, you know, $500. They're crazy, right? For a little piece of plastic. Anyhow, I started wearing that splint. People who don't know what a splint is, it's a piece that you put on your top of your teeth. So when you grind your teeth, it grinds the splint and not your teeth. And I put that in on whilst trading, and guess what? I'm eating less. It's so interesting because when you look at the mouth, right? Babies, they put their finger in the mouth. The mouth gives us, and I did a lot of research on that as well. When we put our hands in our mouth, or we put our hands towards our mouth, it gives a feeling of certainty. So I looked at when I want to eat a chocolate or want to eat something, I want to go to the fridge. One of the things was for me to gain certainty. How else can I fill and meet that need of certainty? And that splint totally does it for me. It's amazing. So I hope that is again giving you a little piece of insight on how to use a framework, how to use the thinking on improving your life, rather than looking at the content of how do I evaluate my process. Yeah, so that's the piece around focus. Was I focused today? No. Why not? What was the distraction all about? Was it a distraction that was in my control? No, because my child was sick and I needed to take care of my child and I was worried about my child. Well, then it's completely okay not to be focused. Yeah, so don't just say yes or no. Really think it through and put it into a framework. Now, we can look at the evaluation process in terms of subjective ratings. You know, how well did I prepare today? What is really interesting about preparation and evaluation in particular is that there are two components in the performance cycle where you have pretty much direct control over what you do and how well you do it. The other parts of the performance processes you might not have as much control over. Preparation, if you say on a scale from 0 to 10, my mark was a 5, then you can say what would have made it a 6, what would have made it a 7, what would have made it a 10. Don't go from 5 to 10 because that's, you know, that's too big a jump. Yeah, so take the increments and then do the same with your execution. You know, how well did I execute? Did I hesitate? Did I get too eager and went in too early? How can I improve that by 1 point? Yeah, on that scale from 0 to 10. And then write down those markers on why you give yourself that number. Why did you give yourself a 7 on entry of the trade? Again, and what would make it an 8? What would make it a 9? So that is what makes performance analysis really useful and tangible. And that's the difference. I can't remember if I said that last time, but one of my friends who was a big hedge fund trader he owned a hedge fund in Geneva for a long time. He said, when it comes to sports, I use my brain to control my muscles. So he's really good at sports as well, right? But when it comes to trading, I have to use my mind to control my mind, and that's so tricky. I said, yeah, that is tricky. But here's what you can do in order to improve that. And I can tell you guys, working as running a hedge fund or working as a trader on your own alone, and Linda, I'm sure, has some stories to tell about that as well, is a very different thing. Completely different challenges. And not that one is harder than the other, it's just different, right? Completely different. So when it comes to mindset, again, this is very subjective. How can you start making that subjectivity more controllable in terms of saying on a scale from 0 to 10? 10 is my benchmark of how I would have to perform. This is how I really performed. And then how can I make it improve it by 1 scaling point? Yeah. So become curious, become fascinated. And when I started doing this performance analysis for myself, I just love it so much. Again, as I said, I do it everywhere because I can see the results it has in my life. Now, the evaluation process can be as complicated and as detailed as you want it to be. You can keep a trade log, you can keep a journal, you can keep your market data, your data about preparation, execution, evaluation, mindset. It is a lot, I agree. And a lot of traders, they still work full time. They also have a family to take care of. And I get that this is really hard to keep track of. But here's the thing. This is where you can start. Only write down the number of trades that you did. Let's say you made 10 trades today. You had 6 profitable trades, 4 losing trades. Great, doesn't mean anything, as you know. Out of the 6 profitable trades, how many of them did you honor your system and how many did you not honor your system? And now we go back to these statistics. Did you let your trade run into a big loss before you came out as a profit? Well, yes, it was a profitable trade, but you didn't honor your strategy. Did you get out earlier than your system told you to? Well, you didn't honor your system. Did you get out later than your system told you to? You still did not honor your system, even though you made more money. Does not count, okay? No cheating here. Okay, so, and you do the same with your number of losing trades. How many did you not honor your system? And you record them in the 10 strikes out, which is what I took over, or took from Tom Dante. And he's very famous on Twitter because he likes to swear certain words. But he's an amazing guy. I did his training, and in his training, he doesn't trade Coach Life anymore, or doesn't run any trainings at the moment. But in his training, he's very different. He doesn't swear. He doesn't tell jokes. He's totally focused on the job. And this is what I loved about him. On Twitter, he laughs and jokes and talks shit frankly, swears. But when it comes to his work, nothing of that. And he's really well organized. So what you're seeing now here, and I'm happy to send Kyle that Excel spreadsheet so you guys can use it for yourself. This is what you do. So this is an example, right? Did you follow your rules? And that's for the day, right? So you may put on your first trade and you say, I followed all my rules, yay, tick. Or, ooh, I entered too early, tick. Or I exited too late, tick. Right? So now you get statistics on what your main behavioral pattern is that causes your P&L. And I guarantee you guys the 80-20 rule is also applicable here, where you will make 80% of the time the same mistake over and over again. And I know my main mistake is what I call the superwoman syndrome. When I had a really good run, so let's say the market was coming up strongly as it does lately, and then I would have really good profits, and I would get back into the trade one last time, and that's the point when it turns around. Now I have made all those great profits, and then I don't want to give my profits back, but I have to take a loss. And then I try avoiding to take that loss because I want to have my beautiful profit. I want to have my beautiful strike rate of, 10 winning trades in a row. So completely not what is controllable and what is useful. It does not matter. When I learned to be with the, oh man, I don't want to give my profits back, and talk myself out of needing to have a perfect track record that no one sees anyway. When I was able to feel those feelings and let them be there, because what happened in the past was I would fight those feelings. Oh my God, I can't think this way. I can't feel this way. I need to get out of this trade, but I feel this way. I can't press the mouse button. And now it's like, oh wow, I feel this and I don't like it and it's uncomfortable. But that's not the point. The point is I need to get out of this trade because that's the point. That's the place where the market turns around and I will give back all my profits if I don't give back that piece of profit. And so I've learned also to manage myself and talk and my self-talk and change that as well using these stats. And so guys, because when you know that self-control then becomes like a muscle, it becomes better with time. When you know exactly what to work on, then you can put a performance improvement plan in place. What are the emotions that I'm feeling? What is my self-talk that I'm talking? What are the actions as a result of that? And now I can work on all 3 levels and change my behavior. So self-control is only one factor of self-discipline. There's other factors that play a role, such as your energy levels, your sleep, the stresses that you experience in life, the market conditions, right? There's so many factors that we can put into self-discipline, but most traders only look at this one piece, the self-control. So we need to really look at when are the times when I can exercise self-control really well, and when are the times when I find it difficult to. And then also take that as feedback when you have to scale down, when you maybe need a break, when you maybe need to do some R&R. So I was working with a guy yesterday, and amazing trader. He's got kahunas, I can tell you that. He's going to be really big. And and I know that because of other areas of his life, he has been through shit. Seriously, he had a really bad accident. I think I mentioned him last time. His whole body was smashed up. The doctor said he will never walk again, and he walks. He's in a lot of pain. He needs to do exercise every day, even with the pain. He doesn't sit there and says, I don't want to feel the pain. I don't want to go to the rowing machine. He's like, right, if I want to keep that level of mobility that I have, whatever I have left, I need to go to the rowing machine. He doesn't even think about it. He just does it. And so he was clearly over trading, doing really well. And then I said, and then he started sabotaging. I said to him, you're just exhausted. You need to take a break. He's like, okay, well, I can't go on holidays. He's in London. So I said, you can't go on holidays. And I said, so what are you going to do? What really rocks your boat? He's like, I'm going to rent myself a Lamborghini for a week and have fun. I said, you go do that and you come back to me in a week. And then we start looking at your stats again, at trading again. So, being honest about it, that it's not always pushing through and forcing it through, but also to recognize that you're human, and that's okay. It's okay to feel like crap. And all you do is, and this is what I did with Linda last week, the process is just like, okay, so I feel this way, right? I feel naked if I don't go into that trade, or if I don't always have a foot in the market or a position in the market. And then we also looked at, well, but on the flip side, when I have a position in the market, even if it's a small position, I feel like I'm in touch more. I feel like I can perform better in the subsequent trades. Yes, this might turn into a loser, but it doesn't matter. I feel like I'm staying in touch. So it wasn't all bad staying in the market, but there was an element where the intention of staying in the market was what was sabotaging or what was not helpful. Let's say it this way. If it was sabotaging, that's too big a word, because it wasn't sabotaging. It was just not helpful. So then looking at, all right, so this is how I feel. This is the reason why I feel. Maybe I'm feeling a little not supported, or whatever it is for you, to just acknowledge it and say, you know what, I'm just feeling a little alone at the moment. And most of the time it's just the stories that we tell ourselves anyway. But that doesn't matter. That's not the point. To look at that, to acknowledge it, and then to just leave it there like the radio in the background. You don't need to do a deep self-evaluation, psychology session. You just need to look at, that is what is going on for me. Leave it in the background. Let's go and look at our job. And then needing to have a foot in the market with the intention to stay in touch with it. That is so powerful, right? So that's so very different than needing to have a foot in the market because otherwise I feel naked. So always look at, what would that give you in terms of, does it give you certainty? Does it give you variety? Does it give you connection? Does it give you significance? Does it give you growth or contribution? Whatever it is that you're trying, what need are you trying to meet here? So on that note, as you guys know, every successful trader has a dark past, and every losing trader has a bright future. And whilst no one can go back and make a brand new start, we can always start from now with all the learnings and the insights that we gained from the previous years. And we can make it a brand new end. So we never start from scratch, but you can start from now with all the big toolbox that we have already accumulated, and that's where you can make it a brand new end. On that note, I'd love to open up for questions if you have any questions. I'm going to change my headset now and put.
And just as an aside, we do have the microphone open in case anyone wants to hop on the audio. You are more than welcome to, or type into the chat box as well.
Okay. Okay. Just stop sharing. It's better. Sorry, my hair is all messy now. Cool. Okay, let's have a look. David, I follow my stats on TraderView, which works well for me. Well done. So what is it that works well for you? Can you maybe share with your fellow traders what stats specifically makes a big difference for you? I would be really curious about this, David. How often do you walk away from your screens? Michael, that's a really great question to ask, and also something that I discuss with traders a lot. So they say when you don't do well, to just walk away and reset. I am not a big fan of that. I believe that if you walk away from your trade because you're not doing well, you're avoiding resolving whatever causes impulsive or compulsive behavior. So I believe it's really important when you, for example, had a trade that was a losing trade and you feel the compulsion to jump into the market and to make it back, to learn to sit with that feeling of compulsion or impulsiveness. Because again, guys, the problem is not that you jump into the trade. The problem is that you don't take the losses usually. If you were to show undisciplined behavior and jump into a trade and it's like, oh man, that was not good, and that was impulsive, that was not based on any methodology, and now my stop loss has been triggered, you need to get out. If you get out, then it's not a problem. But the reality is that most traders, when they show compulsive behavior, that they don't get out of that trade, of that losing trade. That is the problem. So if you walk away from the computer, you're not resolving your unconscious behavioral patterns that cause these losses, that cause you jumping into the trade and cause you not getting out of the trade. So step one, really sit and learn to be with whatever emotions you experience when you have a losing trade, and to breathe into it and to let it be there, like the radio in the background. And then you shift your focus back to your job. What is your methodology? What do your stats say? What's the market like? Is the market suitable for you and your strategy? You know how I said before, when it's a creeping market, I'm not doing well. So if I have a creeping market and I have 3 losses in a row, I leave, yes. Not because I try to avoid making another loss, or because I can't control myself. I leave because I know that this context is not suitable for me to optimize my performance. That's the only reason. So I have traders who learn, make 10 trades, and the 10 trades and, sorry, I was just reading something. So they say that I make 10 trades or 10 points, and then I stop trading. But if you have a market that is so suitable for your strategy and for your for your behavioral patterns, for your personality. Why would you stop the fun? You know, again, that could be the day when you make all your profits for the year. So for me, the benchmark to stop is when I'm feeling tired, when I'm feeling superwoman syndrome is kicking in and I think I'm invincible, or when I'm feeling I start getting reluctant taking my losses. And that needs a lot of self-awareness, of course, right? So I learned understanding what that feeling is. When I have the feeling of I have no problem taking my losses, right? I'm in control, I'm at the course of my life, and I demand of myself and I command myself to press that mouse button and get out of that losing trade. Or if you are someone who micromanages, who doesn't let the profits run, it's the same thing, it doesn't matter. You command and demand yourself to not touch that mouse button until your profit target has been triggered. If the trade turns around and goes into your stop loss, then there's two questions you need to ask yourself. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's annoying. And you have all right to be annoyed about it. Or you say, I don't like this. I need to look at fine-tuning my strategy that I can get out still at a loss, maybe have a trailing stop, or I always take moving average or trend line that gets me out. I'd rather get back into the trade than letting it turn around and turning into a loss, because I know this is really bad for my mental well-being, for my trading psychology. I know that when I let that happen, I'm more prone to making mistakes, to becoming impulsive and deal out of frustration. So whenever I have an impulsive, or when I had an impulsive trade, I did exactly what I said to you to do, have that spreadsheet. And then I realized what happened just before I was making a bad trading decision. So I realized that often the trigger was that I let a profitable trade run into a losing trade. And I know I can't deal with it well. So until I have resolved it, I need to find a trading strategy that helps me to get out and get back in. I found when I have a trade that goes straight into a loss, I have no problems getting out of it. So a loss is not always equals to the loss. There's several conditions for a loss. And again, I found most traders find it hard when they were in profits to get out of a losing trade. They find it hard when they had let a profitable trade run into a losing trade. So if that happens to you, then you know I'm now at risk at making a mistake. I need to deal with it first before I get into a different trade. I need to get back into balance and feel strong and coarse and solid and grounded, and deal with the anger and frustration that I might have. And there was this really interesting article that I read. So they found out that one way of processing emotions is through the optic nerve. And that's why when you are under stress or when you have frustration, go for a run if you can, or go do exercise, go to change the scenery, because then you change the way your brain processes memories. It just goes to long-term memory, and you can then come back to the trading screen with a clear new mind. So I see if I find that it was this really interesting guy that this neuroscientist, Andrew Huberman, he spoke about this. So interesting. Yeah, so it's not always you leave your desk because of this thing. There are so many contexts that we need to look at why it is prudent to leave a desk and why it is not prudent to leave a desk. And, having worked, side by side with Linda, she rarely leaves her desk during the day. She's fully focused, working and waiting for setups. So again, it's very individual. I rarely leave my desk just for tea and coffee. Yeah, so getting up every 60 to 90 minutes. Actually, I get up every 60 minutes. I found that I destroyed my back sitting too long. And I have this 10-minute yoga sequence that I do every hour. That I do twice a day. And then other things like, squats or stretching or push-ups, just something to move my body. I found that it's really important, because when your back hurts, you can't make good trading decisions, I can tell you that. So I love, Michael, that you acknowledge the FOMO. So when it comes to FOMO, that FOMO needs to be addressed. And this is what I said before. So thank you for helping me making a point where when you want to get up because you want to escape the FOMO, it's not going to help. You need to address and resolve the FOMO. But if you get up because you need to take care of your health, that's a very different intention. It's always the intention behind your behavior. Really good question around when you mentioned the hypothetical situation of going onto Twitter to fulfill the need of talking to someone or avoid being lonely. Is this considered a need or a want? Magic wand, want. So I have to say it's really funny, because I so often pronounce words slightly incorrect, like I just said want rather than want. And then I confuse people because I can't hear the difference. So that's an aside. Now we need to define first what is a need and what is a want. A need is going back to the 6 core human needs that Tony Robbins so beautifully structured. And he learned it from someone else, and I can't remember who it was. So it's the need for certainty. It's something that we all need in order to perform. Now, the way that certainty is being met is different, can be different for different people. What is a want? A want is something that is not required to perform, to optimize our performance in the context of trading, but it's something that would be helpful or would be a feel good. So if I say, I want a chocolate right now, that would be the want. No, that doesn't help. That's a really bad example, sorry, because then I need to look at behind what does chocolate give me. It would give me maybe certainty, variety because of the texture, right? I spoke to someone, which was really interesting, a nutritionist, around why people rather choose pizza than salad. And she said, look at the 6 core needs. She's also trained like I am, but her field is nutrition and losing weight, so weight loss. And she said pizza has a lot of structure, a lot of variety, and a lot of salt and fat that gives you variety also on your tongue. And you don't necessarily have that when you eat a salad. It's more bland compared to pizza. So if you look at what need pizza fulfills, it also fulfills the need for variety. So the question is, can we help that person to feel that need for variety in a different way? So in that context, I would say this is more of want. I want variety. Whereas loneliness is something that is, or filling that need for loneliness is what we need in order to survive. It's in our genes. So that's how I would distinguish between a need and a want. Is it something that's more a genetical requirement, or is it something that's it's nice to have? So I would say it's a need, going on Twitter. So the need to feel that loneliness. Yeah. The question is, why is it important? That's what I would want to know. Why is it important to you to distinguish between need or want? Because I know that there's a thinking behind. Yeah. In your experience, is there a direct correlation between a person's level of self-awareness and their success as a trader? No. I know traders, they have no self-awareness. They are very crude. They have no awareness for other people, and they're doing phenomenally well. However, the flip side applies. If you're not doing well, then it might be useful and important to work on your self-awareness. So one doesn't back the other, but the other backs the one. So if you are not successful, then you need to look at why. Why, what is it? That's what self-awareness is all about. It's not about being that perfect person. It's looking at what is that pattern that I do that doesn't help me make good decisions. That's what trading is all about, right? Making good trading decisions. What stops me from making a good trading decision? And then self-awareness is looking into that, nothing else. I hope that answered your question, Jim. If not, please ask. My son set up an alert on my phone that gives me random exercises. Yeah, well, that is great. I love that your son did that. And I know a lot of traders who have alerts on their phones to do exercises or to stop trading. I even know a trader who has a software program that it locks up after he has hit his, his daily loss limit. And he always finds a way to circumvent that, to get into the market. I think he even finds it really interesting to conquer and beat that thing that tells him to stop trading. That's like a game for him, sport. So the problem is not always having the alerts. The problem is following the alerts. Yeah, many successful routes in this business. And then what we can do, Jim, is we can say, all right, so what makes this trader so successful? What can I model specifically from this person that would help me to succeed? I don't need to swear in order to be successful. I know a lot of traders who do swear like, wow, crazy, and do smash monitors. Then I look at what does the smashing monitors and the swearing give them. It releases the anger. It gives them certainty. And then when that is being dealt with, when that is being brought out, then they can focus on the job again. So now I have the choice. I can become someone who swears a lot and smashes monitors. But if that is not who I want to be, then I can look at how can I find certainty again. And that's what I said to you, you know, using that splint for my mouth guard. That somehow, funny enough, gives me certainty. And I don't feel like eating that much. It's really weird, but who cares if it works? I use it until it stops working or, you know, has any other adverse effect, which I asked my dentist and he said, no, it's all good. So maybe there's a new line of business for him, making splints, mouth guards for traders. So yeah, they have a very low level of consciousness, almost feels unfair. And now I love that. I would want to explore with you, what is this thing for you around unfairness? That could be something that affects your performance, which I'm not going to do. All right, so any other questions? So if we look at the brute behavior, for example, Jim, what we could look at is, what is your level of motivation? Is it intrinsic motivation or extrinsic motivation? And I know that a lot of traders, they are extrinsically motivated. What does that mean? That means that there's an outside force that impacts their decision-making process, the way they feel about themselves, the way the guilt or shame is being triggered. Someone who is intrinsically motivated, they are not triggered by what other people say in the outside world. They say, oh, whatever, I don't really care what you're saying. I play my own game here. So that would be, for example, something to look at and something to model. How is it that they do that? Marty Schwartz, Pitbull, that's a really great book, one of my favorite books. Now, why do you mention that, Chance? Just, I think I lost the context here a little. So, Michael McCallum, for you, it's not the question around how often do I need to walk away from my screen? Do I set alarms to walk away from my screen? For you, the question is, what need does that fulfill? And what is it around the FOMO? So it's the FOMO that needs to be resolved and not the behavior. It's the thinking and feeling behind the behavior that triggers that behavior that you need to have a look at. Yeah? And no tool in the world will help you to get up and walk away. You can have all the alerts on the phone, on your computer, you will ignore it. Because there's a basic need underneath that needs to be fulfilled for you. The FOMO, whatever that stands for. And when that is resolved, when that's transformed, and that's released, you go get up automatically and exercise. I know, because I've been through the journey myself. There you go. Any other questions? I'd love Linda, if Linda could come off mute, but I think it's not working, is it?
Let me give it a try here. I think she is logged in via the mobile. Let me give it a try here and see.
There we go. Does that work?
Hey, yes. Hi, Linda.
So if you want to know, Damon and I are sitting in the car with my phone plugged in because the battery was getting low, and we've been without power since right when the market closed because we had this tornado thing blow through our neighborhood and the whole town sits down. So I'm like,
wow.
See, it's like Florida with hurricanes, but no, we get the storms up here too. So we're being all cozy in the car. And the funny thing was he couldn't get the garage door open on my side because there's no power, and so it's like
no.
I tried disconnecting it, but it wouldn't work.
Yeah, very funny. Huh?
And where are the dogs?
Oh, we left them inside with candles burning everywhere.
I hope Domino is not going to burn the house down. Domino alone at home.
So we are absolutely thrilled to have our evening entertainment program. And the other thing is I've got my iPad propped up in the car too, so I can see your smiling face on my iPad.
Hi. So I would love to know, Linda, about because when you started, like I don't think you did all this performance work that we have to do nowadays. And I think the difference is really what we spoke about last time. When you are working in a team or when you're working in a pit, you get so much feedback all the time that you can focus on your job. And when we are sitting alone at home, I think we have to do that kind of work. But I really would love to get some feedback and also please challenge anything or give your own viewpoint that I was talking about, because this is what makes it alive, and this is what helps the different breeds of traders to also get a lot out of what we are doing here. So
yeah, when I did my best record keeping on my own performance, it really wasn't that detailed. It was more, I had this model that I had come up with, the 2-period rate of change and the little signals for the end of the day and stuff. And I simply wrote down my trades. That's it, and then when I exited, I just simply write down the P&L. So it was really basic. The thing was that, I didn't do all these performance metrics, and we weren't trading nearly so actively because you had to call all your trades down to the floor, so it was, you had to be a little bit more deliberate about in one day, out the next day. And I mean, you made me think about
It's
a
like
lot of
poker, isn't it? Didn't someone say that, I think it was Steve, the difference between poker and trading is that the game finishes, and then you have this little bit of time where you can reassess or restart, where you need to think, where you're forced to.
Yeah, the other, this weekend, I was listening to a podcast. There's a podcast, it's the Knowledge Project, Farnham, and it was on this lady poker player who really started out knowing nothing about the game at all. She didn't even know how many cards there were in the deck, but she was, obviously very intelligent. And she said that she couldn't play poker online, that it was just too fast for her, and she, felt out of control and stuff. And she could, even though she was a top performing poker player, and it wasn't Annie Duke, it was this other gal, that
I'll find her name,
yeah, I think I sent the link to you with her.
You
so
did,
I thought that was kind of interesting, that, talking about not only the market's environment, but our personal environment. And then, it's a double-edged sword, because for me, well, for example, let's say there was the period when I had the fund and stuff. I did have, an assistant who kept all the statistics and metrics on everything, because he would put all the trades in on everything. But like, I never wanted to look at that stuff, because because, it's the same situation, that it is stressful if you're going through a drawdown time or a rough time or something like that. I didn't want to get depressed. I wanted to be able to keep going forward with optimal energy, and, not think about mistakes that I had made the previous day. So I know there's now it's I'm really excited. I'm that's a really good motivator to clean up your act as well, ramp it up a little bit. And, I think that with the software programs, I know there's a program that connects to the Photon, because I think Kyle and I started to try it out, but you got to pay money to do the futures. It's free for stocks. And then I think it was just, I don't know what happened. It lasted 2 or 3 days, and we had some little issues or something. But I think they've gotten much better about that stuff. I think there are 2 programs you can use, with the Photon. But I took notes, even though we're sitting by candlelight. I took notes the whole time you were talking, and I like the way that you framed it out, that there are, 3 different types of metrics, not just the P&L, which tells you, where you end up, and not just the performance statistics, but also the process statistics as well. And I would say for me, that's what I used to concentrate a lot more on, were those process statistics. Okay, not seeing if you can eliminating an unforced error. Okay, see if you can go X number of trades, remembering to manage them all. Those types of things. And then the bottom line would sort of happen when the markets happened. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And the challenge that I see most traders have is they do that work for themselves. And they say, okay, so my exit was not optimal, but I don't know what to do with this. And so what I did in my group last time, I had 3 of the best traders who do really, really well, and I've seen their stats, discuss on how they created their system and how they fine-tune the system all the time. And but most traders, they don't know what to do with it. They say, exactly the data that you kept, but then I'm sitting here on my own with my stats. How do I improve that? How do I get out of this?
Yeah, I think also it's the tricky thing is, you keep referring to system, and just as long as people understand it's not a mechanical system, but it's more like your approach, your methodology. So it's easy if we had a mechanical system to measure our performance against the performance of the mechanical system and see what variance there is.
Yes.
But we really don't have that. So systems kind of a loose substitute for, style, method, or, I do think that like a systematic approach to trade management is probably the most important thing. And I know that that's where I can improve my own performance, because what happens with me is I'll have, you know, a few things that are working out really well, and then I'm a little bit more tolerant of one or two losers, you know, because my P&L or my account equity is plus, you know, so then I let those one or two little losers go a little bit further than they should, just because I might have something that's, you know, making up for that and working on the bottom line. So, I mean, I know my own little personal weaknesses, but I need to be a little bit more attentive to that, you know. Because I do get disgusted, and then I just like, oh, pitch it, you know, but I probably could have pitched it, you know, a little bit earlier, so.
And I think it comes back to, you know, weighing yourself and looking in the mirror and keeping a tag on, all right, I might be eating too much or not moving enough. And that's what our statistics are for. What I also see, go for it, you go for it.
No, I was just going to say, and you know, the statistics are, I think, really great points you brought up. And what I've seen happen, you know, to people around me, and you know, even myself, is that it's just like a diet or eating clean, right? You eat clean for, you know, a week, 2 weeks, whatever it might be. You're doing really well. You have this steady rhythm. Oh, and then you go to a party or you're under stress or something happens, and it's like, you know, the cork gets pulled out and lets the genie out of the bottle, the bad genie out of the bottle, right? And you go on tilt. And that's, I think, an important thing too, is, you know, the statistics that precede, you know, going on tilt. And sometimes that can happen in the trading account too, is that, you know, you just get frustrated, or you just, all of a sudden you make a series of, you know, a few over trades. And that's why I always caution people on those really light volume, noisy days, because I know one problem for me, you know, in the past was when it gets like that, you know, you tend to over trade. So it's, you know, we can go through these periods of having good record keeping, steady, and so forth, but it's like Alcoholics Anonymous or quitting smoking. You've never really quit, you know, you'll always be that addict, and there's always that thing waiting for you to, you know, be off balance, and it's going to come out and grab you. I mean, I never really smoked, but I mean, these are analogies I've heard, so that you'll always remain subject to these tendencies. You're never cured, you know.
And then it's about identifying when you're at risk of doing it. And so, you know, that's what I was saying.
Right.
I feel Superwoman syndrome creeping up. I know where my place of power is, when my focus is, and I don't know how to explain that, but when it's like on my sternum, then I know I have no problems taking losses. But when I'm feeling somehow focused on my solar plexus, my tummy area, I know I can't take losses. It's really weird, but this is what I gained from so much self-awareness. And now I can say, I'm in danger to doing some stupid things here. I need to get back to feeling grounded and solid. And that's all it is about. It's just feedback. And then what an athlete would do before a competition. Exactly the same work, right?
Yep.
And what I also see is then when traders do these self-awareness projects, they use them to beat themselves up. It's all bitching and complaining and judging the hell out of themselves. I should have gotten out earlier. I should have done this. I didn't do that. What's wrong with me? And so there's this whole subjective projection of the self-image that then comes in, and that also needs to be worked on. If someone is so self-critical, and sometimes, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's useful because we did something stupid, and you know, you're right to say, man, how could I do something stupid? I would never take that away from someone because that's absolute normal behavior. But often there is this behavior that was not stupid, that was just normal human flaws. And then they're so hard on themselves. So they use the self-reporting, the self-awareness just to judge themselves more, and they will never improve on the back of that. Because they don't
I
see
liked
the
your
stats.
comment that you made that, you know, it's not about wiping the slate clean and starting from scratch. It's taking the, you know, start point of right where you are right here and now. And I have a friend, I don't know if you spoke with him, you know, my friend in Texas that's an energy trader, used to be. He trades, you know, pretty aggressively. And, you know, what he does, he has this calendar on his wall, and he just takes like a gold star, you know, every time he has a green positive day. So his whole goal is just to stay focused that day so that he can put a green star on that day that he made money that day. And I know you said not to focus on the P&L per se, but I think it kept his mind focused to just doing his best job that day, regardless of, you know, if you had a funky thing the day before.
It is not focusing on the P&L. That's the beauty. He focuses on his process so that he can have the outcome of the gold star.
Yeah, and that's all that matters.
It's the
And
combination.
I tell people that, you know, it just matters that you were plus $5 on the day, and that's like a moral victory, and that can be just enough to get the ball rolling again.
Yeah. And then reinforcing that positive behavior, like what we will do with our doggies, right? Like we reward them for being good and you know, sitting and not pulling on the line, on the leash. And we need to do the same with us, but I don't see many traders do the positive reinforcement. That's what he did with the gold star. And that's what I did a lot with myself. So in the past, I would be so angry for not taking my losses early enough and would be so hurt. And then I would change that to, you know what, you actually conquered yourself and you pressed that button. Yes, it was a little late, but hey, you did it. So you've proven that you can do it, and reward myself. And so the more I rewarded myself, the more I would connect positive, good feelings with pressing that mouse button, right? And so then that behavior becomes natural. And then I started shifting my focus from not wanting to take that loss to wanting to protect my capital. I couldn't do that at the beginning. I knew intellectually, but I didn't feel it. And now I'm like, yeah, I got out. I'm so proud of myself because I'm taking care of my capital, my golden goose that lays the golden eggs. If I smash an egg here and there, I don't really, that's cool. I can make more eggs, but I can never have another goose again.
And I loved your comment, whether Paul Tudor Jones said it or not, about the money just being ethereal, floating around through the air, you know. And that's another thing that my friend in Texas always says, is that, you know, it's like the markets, you just have to believe that there is a law of abundance there, you know, and always think that, you know, every day, you know, if you don't have to feel like you missed something, because there's always going to be opportunities, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
Damon has.
Go with Damon.
He's being a good sport listening to us talk.
Hey, Damon.
Hey, I have a lot of comments, but I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to mention a couple things you said. I actually, on this last note, there's a really good trader that he traded a fund and he did really well. And it's funny because he was Latin American, Jewish Latin American, which was funny. But he came into town, and you know, it was my job to go hang with him. I mean, this guy made us a lot of money. He was a lot of fun. He would do 200-300 contracts at a shot, and he was cool as a cucumber. And I ended up going out with him, went to the gambling boat, and he was just hilarious. But one thing he said to me, he says, if you chase money, it won't happen. Don't chase money, it will come to you. I mean, he was kind of he was religious too, you know, so it was just kind of funny that he said that. And he kept trying to explain it to me, but in some ways I kind of understand it. I have some, you know, traders through my life that I've mentored or I've helped, and or in my own issues, is that when we try too hard to make money, that isn't how you make money. If there's no trade, that's how you lose money, because you're trying to make money. You know, and there are days that you have to realize, you know, my sort of trading, when I think about trading in general, kind of like market profile, you know, how they break it down, is you got to know, like, what is your comfort zone and what kind of markets do you do well in? If it is a day where it is a rangy, low volume, not follow through, choppy day, there's traders that actually do well in that because they sell rallies, buy dips all day long, and they can scalp. But those trend days are the days that kill them. So you need to identify, okay, this is a day I don't do good in, you know, and this is a day that I do well and I exceed. Then you could put the pedal to the, you know, foot to the pedal. And so I see that, you know, that's one of the things, and it reminds me of don't chase money. You know, on a day that you know that you do well in this kind of a trading day, then you know, you should be focused and go for it, you know. And also accept that even on your best days, you're going to have losers. It just happens. It's part of the game. It's another game, you know.
I know, you know, I think the topic of chasing money. So someone who chases money, what is the presupposition that they put on money? What is the presupposition that they put on themselves? What is it they think and believe around money and themselves? So someone who's chasing something must have somewhere the belief that either there is not enough of it, or that they can't have it, because otherwise they wouldn't try to chase it.
Mm-hmm. So you know, my biggest you know, observation from years of being around traders and people, you know, customers who call in or big traders on the floor, is that, you know, they put, you know, a goal that, you know, they're going to come in today, I'm going to make enough money because I want to buy that new car this week or whatever. And those are the days that they end up having one of their biggest losing days, because they are pushing and they're creating something that isn't there, right? You know, if you know, like you said, like if you really analyze your system, this is another thing going back, that's why I got a lot of comments, but you had mentioned, you know, you have to really be truthful when you analyze your winners, because a winner isn't a winner. If you normally you're risking 500 to make 2,000, but you allowed that trade to go into a $2,000 losing trade, and then it came back and you made your 2,000, you can't call that a good trade. You're just lucky, because you should have got out.
Dumb luck, right?
You entered, you know. She said all that. Yeah. And so I thought that was a great point. That's why I was bringing it up, because you said it. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's it. I just wanted to make a couple comments. I didn't want to.
Super. Thank you so much, Damon. And you know, this is what I love about you. You have the practical experience from the floor and having been around amazing traders. And so these observations are just super useful. So yeah, thank you. Do you know with Thinkorswim, do they have a reporting function as well, like TradeStation has?
What is it?
With Thinkorswim, because Damon, you used to work.
Yeah.
You used to work with them, right?
Yeah, you know, actually, when I was there, I suggested that they build one, but I don't think they ever did. But I do know that Photon, I saw.
Just want to ask with Photon, yeah.
No, on your own trading, they probably do. I guess she said they do. So, yeah. Okay.
And Photon, do you have it with Photon? If not, you know what you have to do.
Well, I did just see, you know, one trader who happened to show me, he was just asking me questions and showed me how he took, you could take Photon and all your trades could be uploaded to CSV or CVS file, or CSV.
Yeah, nice.
But one of these programs, and I'll get the name of it.
Trader View.
Nice.
Kyle, we did that, right? We tried that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Trader View, I think TRADER, and then I think VUE was the one.
That's correct. That's the best out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, so
it says, yep.
Yeah, you definitely, I think the statistics that I feel are important are, you know, on your winning and losing days, how many average trades do you do? Because that's a big, right there, that's a big sign. If you trade 3 times as much in your losing days, you're not trading to win, you're trading to get back money that you've lost.
You do.
Yeah,
And
so,
also what is also useful, which I actually should have added, is when you have those stats in TraderView, you can look at what is your best performing hour of the day, what is your worst performing hour of the day. And when you realize what your worst performing hour of the day is, and you just don't trade during that time, you can improve your stats dramatically. What is your best performing day of the week and your worst performing day of the week? So a trader I was working with last week, David, his worst days are Fridays, because the way his system works is not suited for Fridays. And so we took Fridays out. We looked at how would his stats look like, his performance look like if we were to take Fridays out. And it changed it dramatically. That's all it took. Yeah. 3-day weekend. So David says, great customer support.
Weekend.
Yeah.
I think I would skip Mondays.
Yeah, I think Mondays are definitely special days on their own,
And then we can look at, Linda does a lot of work around the behavioral pattern of days. That's what I find is your golden nuggets. So, for example, I mentioned a few times, don't sell weakness in after lunch in a strong market. The market has been weak in the morning. Don't continue going short after lunch because the probabilities are not skewed in your favor. When we look at Mondays, the last few months, every Monday has been massively strong. And so just go blindly long on a Monday, you make money. Put your stop loss in. Know how the market behaves on certain days. But what people do is they hear that Trump announced something on a Sunday and they think the market has to drop. No, market still every Monday. Look at how the market behaves every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday. And then you don't only get data for yourself, but also about the market. And then you match those. Is the reason why my Fridays don't perform well because the market typically behaves like that on a Friday? Is it that my Fridays don't go well because it is only every NFP day that my data gets screwed? So it's not every Friday that impacts my Friday, but just the NFP Friday that I don't know how to trade NFP. So these are the levels that we can go into, and then we don't need to worry about I don't have confidence, because it's not about confidence, it's about competence in that case. Yeah.
Andy, I thought this was one of your best talks you've given. I'm so glad we recorded it so I can go back and listen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, if there's any more questions, I'm happy to answer more questions. I think the work around stats is so self-explanatory. Just go do it, guys. If it hurts, sit there with the pain and all the stuff that comes up. I know. Do it anyway. And that's what makes you a great trader. Yeah. I think that was our last session. And I really want to thank you, Linda, for allowing me to contribute to your group. Always so much fun playing with you guys.
Everybody's so grateful, and we have some people that can't attend in the evening, but they do send me feedback that they listen to the video that Kyle uploads. So thank you, nice. Mandi.
Thank you, Mandi.
I'm so grateful that you also shared some of your journey as a trader, because you really are a great trader, not just an amazing coach too. So, we all go through, I love your expression, every successful trader has a dark past and every losing trader has a bright future. That's wonderful.
I think this is really what Trading Sardines is all about for me. When I read your book, it was like, wow, this is all the stuff Linda went through. And she still performed on this level. So we all go through the same stuff, right? We all go through at some stage in our life, through a separation or through a loved one passing, through illness. And so many traders use it as a reason to give up or to not perform. But your book really gives the hope that we go through that and there is still greatness after that, getting through that tunnel. That's, yeah.
Yep. I think every trader has war stories. Wouldn't be a trader if you didn't have war stories.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, so I think a few people use TraderView, Jess. I know that. Thank you, Jim. Great. On that note, anything else that I can serve you guys with?
Let me just tell everybody that, you know, our power's still out. I'm not sure when it's going to be on, hopefully before I wake up in the morning. If not, you just see Kyle online and no homework posted by me. I'm pretty confident we'll have power before then, but it was kind of a major tornado thing. So,
wow. So was there major damage, or you guys
no,
are
I
safe?
don't think so. I think all the damage was like probably tree limbs falling on wires and transformers blowing out, that type of stuff. I just saw the tornado warnings and I did a little video for Kyle of like the sky turning black and the trees all looking like they were blow over. So we have these 100-foot maple trees behind us, and you really don't want one of those to crack and come down, you know, on the house. But it only lasted 25 minutes, just enough to knock the power out for the whole town.
Crazy. Yeah, well, I hope you guys stay safe. And it's not like the first time, so you experienced already. And is the stables, are they okay? Do they have power in the stables or in the barn?
I know that we have been without power before over there, but I think the horses are standing in the dark at night. So it happened, you know, at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And I mean, there's water for the horses. So, you know, I'm sure they'll be fine over there. Yeah, I didn't go out there today, needless to say. I don't think you could have driven on the road at the time that was happening.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, stay safe, guys.
All right, I'll see you online.
Thank you. Thanks, Jess. Thanks, Damon.
Thank you once again,
Kyle.
Mandy. It's been awesome having you. Thank you once again. Great lectures as always.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Kyle. I'll catch up with you later.
Sounds like a plan. Stay safe out there.
All righty. Night.
Good night.